What if everything you thought you needed to succeed in life, fame, connections, a trust fund, or $1 million idea, was actually wrong? Most people believe building a personal brand or business means having a massive following, being an extrovert, or having insider access to Silicon Valley. But the truth? Some of the most successful creators, entrepreneurs, and influencers started with nothing but a smartphone, a passion, and the courage to hit publish. That's the eye-opening truth behind Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. In this bold follow-up to his original hit Crush It, Gary reveals how ordinary people, teachers, stay-at-home parents, immigrants, artists, fitness junkies, have built extraordinary personal brands by simply sharing what they love online. No gimmicks, no viral hacks, just real content, real hustle, and real results. Through a mix of motivational insights, practical strategies, and real-life success stories, Gary breaks down how anyone, yes, anyone, can leverage platforms like YouTube, Instagram, podcasts, Twitter, and even Alexa to build a career and life doing what they love. The tools are free. The audience is out there. The only thing missing is you. So who is this book for? It's for dreamers who are ready to do, for side hustlers who want to go full-time, for creators, small business owners, freelancers, and anyone who's ever thought, could I actually make money doing what I love? If you're ready to stop waiting and start building your brand, this book is your blueprint. In this summary, we'll walk you through the key lessons from Crushing It, chapter by chapter. You'll learn how to pick the right platform for your personality, create authentic content that connects, and build a business around your voice, your passion, and your unique story. If you're ready to stop watching others live your dream and start building your own, it's time to crush it. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The path is all yours. Imagine waking up every morning excited to work, not because you're chasing someone else's dream, but because you've built something of your own. That's the world Gary Vaynerchuk is inviting you into in Chapter 1 of Crushing It. This isn't a fantasy. It's a reality for thousands who decided to take the leap and use the tools right in front of them to build a personal brand and a business on their own terms. The chapter kicks off with a powerful idea. We're living in the best time ever to be an entrepreneur. The gatekeepers are gone. You don't need to beg a publisher, a network, or an investor to let you in. All you need is Wi-Fi, a smartphone, and something you care deeply about. Whether it's fitness, finance, farming, or freaking stamp collecting, you can turn your passion into profit. Gary lays the foundation with a reminder of his earlier book, Crush It, where he preached the gospel of personal branding. Now, several years later, people who read that book and took action are living proof that the advice works. In Crushing It, he shares their stories, not as fluff, but as evidence. People from all walks of life who used platforms like YouTube, Instagram, or a podcast to change their lives. But before diving into those success stories, Gary gets personal. He revisits his own path, from working in his dad's liquor store to turning Wine Library into a $60 million business. What made him stand out wasn't just hustle, it was storytelling. While other liquor stores ran ads in the local paper, Gary created Wine Library TV, a YouTube show where he tasted wine and spoke directly to customers like a friend, not a salesman. That move wasn't just smart, it was revolutionary. This chapter isn't about tactics yet, it's about mindset. Gary wants you to believe in your unique voice. Too often people think, why would anyone listen to me? But Gary flips that. He says, why not you? There's only one of you in the entire world. Your voice, your background, your style. It's unrepeatable. And in a digital world where authenticity is currency, that's your superpower. He tells the story of a school teacher who loved science and started posting fun experiments on Instagram. Within a couple of years, she had more than 100,000 followers. brand partnerships, and a side income that eventually replaced her teaching salary. The takeaway? She didn't quit her job and hope people cared. She started creating consistently and let the audience grow naturally. Gary also emphasizes that building a personal brand is a long game. If you're looking for overnight results, you're already setting yourself up to fail. The people who are crushing it today are the ones who stayed consistent for years, posting when nobody was watching, recording podcasts for 10 listeners, uploading YouTube videos with barely any views. But they kept going. Why? Because they loved what they were doing. And that's key. If you're in it just for the money, people can smell it. But if you're genuinely passionate, the audience comes, and the money follows. There's a real sense of permission in this chapter. Gary isn't some gatekeeper handing you a checklist. He's the guy opening the door and saying, walk through it your way. Whether you're 19 or 59, a student or a stay-at-home parent, there's a lane for you. The internet doesn't care about your resume, it cares about your voice. Another important point he makes, you don't have to quit your job tomorrow. You can start small, use weekends, use your commute, use lunch breaks. The idea is to build while you maintain stability. One of Gary's favorite lines is, document, don't create. You don't need a fancy script or production. Just start sharing your process, your thoughts, your work. Authenticity beats perfection every time. The chapter ends with a challenge, not the kind you see on TikTok, but a real-life one. What's stopping you? Fear, doubt, judgment. Gary pushes you to answer that honestly, because once you name it, you can work through it. In short, Chapter 1 is about possibility. It's a rally cry for anyone who's felt stuck or sidelined. The digital age isn't coming, it's already here. And it's not reserved for the elite or the tech-savvy. It's for the hungry, the curious, and the brave. If you've ever had a dream, this chapter gives you permission to chase it and the roadmap to start. So, the path, it's not someone else's, it's all yours. Chapter 2. What still matters? Let's get real. Platforms change. What's hot today might be history tomorrow. Remember Vine, or even how Musical.ly morphed into TikTok. But while the tools evolve, the core principles of success remain the same. And in Chapter 2 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk laser focuses on what still matters most in today's fast-paced digital world. Intent, authenticity, passion, patience, speed, work ethic, and attention. Gary kicks off with a crucial reminder: just because you're using the newest app or trend doesn't mean you'll succeed. In fact, chasing fads without a solid foundation is a recipe for burnout and disappointment. Success is not about jumping on every trend. It's about understanding timeless truths and applying them with consistency. First up, intent. Why are you doing what you're doing? If your goal is to serve, to help, to entertain, to teach, then you're playing the long game. But if your only intent is to make a quick buck, people can sniff that out instantly. Audiences are smarter than we give them credit for. Gary drives this home by telling the story of a guy who started a motivational Instagram page, but all his posts were thinly veiled sales pitches. He never built trust, so he never built a community. Contrast that with someone like a stay-at-home dad who simply shared daily videos about parenting challenges, funny toddler moments, and tips for other dads. No selling, no gimmicks, just honesty. Over time, brands came to him because the audience came first. That's the power of leading with intent. Next is authenticity, Gary's all-time favorite trait. If you're trying to copy someone else, you've already lost. In the age of social media, being real beats being polished. You don't need to act like Gary or Elon or Oprah. You just need to be you. Maybe you're quirky, soft-spoken, intense, or goofy. Lean into that. Don't script a personality. Share your actual one. He highlights a woman who ran a baking business and started posting awkward, funny kitchen fails alongside her perfect cakes. People loved her more for the bloopers than the tutorials. Why? Because she felt human, not corporate. Her authenticity was her brand, and it worked. Then comes passion. If you're not genuinely excited about your content, how can you expect anyone else to be? Passion is what keeps you up editing at 2 a.m. or filming in your car between errands. It's what fuels you through the days when no one's watching. Gary reminds us that some of the most successful influencers today started when their niche was considered weird. Whether it was slime making, beekeeping, or reviewing pens, passion turned hobbies into empires. Now let's talk about the big patience versus speed contradiction. Sounds like a paradox, right? But Gary breaks it down beautifully. Speed means execution. Don't wait until everything is perfect. Post, launch, share, get your work out there. Every day you delay is a day someone else gets ahead. But patience means understanding that meaningful results take years, not days, not weeks. Gary shares the story of a teenager who started a sneaker review channel. His first 50 videos barely cracked 100 views each. But he kept posting. A year later, one video went viral. Sponsors started calling. He didn't get lucky. He got persistent. That's what patience plus speed looks like. Fast action, slow reward. Work ethic is another biggie. Everyone says they want success until they see what it takes. Gary gets blunt here. If you're spending 6 hours binging Netflix every day, don't complain about not growing your brand. Building something meaningful takes effort. It's not just about working hard, but working smart, focusing your energy on platforms and messages that actually move the needle. Finally, Gary hammers on the concept of attention. This is where the real magic happens. Attention is the currency of today's economy. Where are people spending their time? That's where you should be. If TikTok has your audience, you'd better learn how to speak TikTok. If they're on LinkedIn, same deal. Don't get romantic about platforms. Get strategic. Gary compares this to fishing. If the fish move downstream, you move with them. In a powerful, close to the chapter, Gary urges you to revisit these principles constantly. They are your compass. Algorithms will change. Platforms will rise and fall. But intent, authenticity, passion, patience, speed, work ethic, and attention, these are forever. So what still matters in a world moving at breakneck speed? The same things that always have: your heart, your truth, your hustle, and your willingness to stay consistent when others quit. The tools will keep changing. But if you hold tight to these timeless principles, you'll not only survive, you'll crush it. Chapter 3. The eighth essential: content. If you had to boil down the entire digital revolution into one word, Gary Vaynerchuk would pick this one: content. In Chapter 3 of Crushing It, he introduces what he calls the eighth essential to personal brand success, and that's creating and distributing content at scale. If you don't already believe content is king, this chapter will convince you. If you do, it will show you how to treat it like royalty. Gary starts by making a bold claim: without content, you don't exist. In today's world, your content is your identity. It's how people discover you, how they get to know you, and ultimately, how they decide whether they trust you. Think about it. When's the last time you Googled someone and landed on their Instagram or YouTube before their resume? Content has replaced credentials in many ways, especially in the creator economy. So what kind of content are we talking about? Video, blogs, podcasts, tweets, carousels, TikToks, shorts, vlogs, live streams, you name it. But don't get overwhelmed. Gary doesn't expect you to be everywhere all at once. Instead, he wants you to pick one platform and go deep. Once you've found your rhythm, you can start repurposing and branching out. The key, Gary says, is to start by being self-aware. What comes naturally to you? Are you great on camera? Start with video. Do you love writing? Launch a blog or LinkedIn newsletter. Comfortable with your voice, but not your face? Podcast it is. The goal is to create in a way that feels sustainable. Burnout is real, and it starts when you're forcing yourself to operate in someone else's lane. To drive this point home, Gary shares the story of a fitness coach who hated being on camera but had a gift for writing short, punchy captions. Instead of pushing her into YouTube, she leaned into Instagram. She shared motivational quotes, mini blogs, and transformation stories. Her follower count exploded. Why? Because she created her way. Once you've found your content format, Gary says it's time to go all in. And that means consistency, not once a month, not when inspiration strikes. Daily, if possible, because in the attention economy, repetition builds recognition. Your audience can't love you if they don't remember you, and they can't remember you if they barely see you. He then breaks down one of the most valuable strategies in this entire book. Document, don't create. Most people get stuck because they think every piece of content needs to be polished, scripted, and perfect. But the truth is, behind the scenes is often more powerful than center stage. Show your process, share your journey. Let people see the rough drafts and real moments. It builds connection and trust. Think about someone running a small handmade candle business. Instead of just posting product photos, she could document how she sources wax, struggles with packaging, or celebrates her first sale. That's the kind of storytelling that draws people in, not just as customers, but as fans. Another important piece: respect the context of each platform. What works on YouTube won't always work on TikTok. Twitter rewards wit and brevity. Instagram loves aesthetic and storytelling. LinkedIn craves value-driven professional insight. Don't post the same thing everywhere. Adapt your message to fit the platform. That's not more work, it's smarter work. Gary also gives a shout out to the power of pillar content. One long piece of content, like a YouTube episode or podcast, that you can slice into dozens of smaller pieces for other platforms. Turn a podcast into audiograms, quotes, carousels, and reels. A single vlog can become 20 tweets. When you build a system around this, you can multiply your reach without multiplying your workload. Midway through the chapter, he shares the story of a dad who started posting short TikToks of daily life with his autistic son. No fancy edits, just real moments. One video hit 1 million views, then another. Soon he was partnering with brands and building a 6-figure income, all because he started showing up consistently and authentically. Gary's message is clear. Content is leverage. It opens doors, builds community, and grows businesses. But more than anything, it's proof of your voice. And in a world flooded with noise, your content helps the right people find you and stick with you. As the chapter winds down, Gary reminds you not to get obsessed with likes and shares. Those are vanity metrics. Focus on impact. Focus on the one person who messages you saying, "This helped me." That's where the real magic is. Create for them, serve them, and watch what happens when word of mouth kicks in. So what's the bottom line? If you want to be remembered, respected, and paid for your expertise or passion, create content, a lot of it, and do it with heart. It's the most powerful tool you've got, and it's available to you right now. Chapter 4. What's stopping you? So here you are, pumped up, full of ideas, maybe even scribbling plans in your journal. But then boom, doubt creeps in, fear shows up. Suddenly your brain starts whispering all the reasons why you can't do it. In Chapter 4 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk tackles the invisible wall that stops most people, their own excuses. This chapter is part therapy session, part motivational speech, and part wake-up call. Gary doesn't sugarcoat things. He calls out the most common reasons people give for not starting and then methodically dismantles every single one of them. First up, I don't have time. Sound familiar? Gary hears it constantly, especially from people working full-time jobs, raising kids, or juggling responsibilities. But his response: check your screen time. Are you watching 3 hours of Netflix at night, scrolling Instagram for 45 minutes before bed? That's your time. He doesn't judge, but he does challenge. Everyone's busy. The people crushing it didn't find time. They made time. He shares a story about a single mom of 3 who built a successful cake decorating business by recording tutorials after her kids went to bed. Her videos weren't studio quality. They were filmed in a dim kitchen with a phone taped to the cabinet. But guess what? People loved it, not because it was fancy, but because it was real. She had every excuse not to start, but she chose to begin anyway. Another big one: I don't have the money. Gary's response is simple. You don't need money to make content. Your smartphone is your production studio. Social media is your distribution. There's never been a cheaper time to start something. In fact, being broke can be an advantage. It forces creativity, scrappiness, and grit. That's the stuff audiences connect with. Then comes a classic. It's already been done. Someone's already a YouTuber. Someone's already a fitness coach. Someone's already teaching crochet, selling handmade jewelry, or giving productivity advice. But Gary flips that on its head. Sure, it's been done, but not by you. Your style, your voice, your delivery, it's your fingerprint. And nobody else has that. Think about pizza. It's everywhere. But new pizza places open every day, and people still line up to try them. Gary illustrates this point with the story of a guy who loved sneakers, but thought the market was too saturated. Still, he began reviewing lesser-known brands in his garage. Over time, he built a niche following of people looking for affordable, quality alternatives to the big names. He didn't try to be the next Nike reviewer. He carved out his own space. Another excuse Gary hears: I'm too old. To that, he shares one of his favorite examples: a woman in her 60s who started a gardening channel on YouTube. She wasn't flashy, didn't know editing software, and had no social media background. But she knew plants. And her calm, nurturing energy drew in thousands of subscribers, most of them younger people hungry for slow, peaceful content. In a world of fast-talking influencers, her gentle presence was refreshing. Her age wasn't a barrier, it was her edge. And let's not forget the big one: fear of judgment. What will people say? What if I fail publicly? What if I look stupid? Gary has zero tolerance for this one. He reminds you that people are already judging you for everything: your clothes, your car, your job, your Instagram posts. So you might as well get judged for doing something you love. The people who criticize from the sidelines, they're not your audience, and they're definitely not your future customers. Gary pushes hard on this point. You must stop caring about the opinions of people who don't matter. If you let their judgment control you, they're living your life. But when you decide to stop giving them that power, everything changes. And here's something deeper. He acknowledges that some people don't start because of imposter syndrome. That nagging voice that says, "Who am I to talk about this?" But Gary reframes it. If you've been through something, struggled with weight, learned to budget, battled anxiety, built a business, you are qualified. You don't need to be the world's #1 expert. You just need to be one step ahead of the person you're trying to help. Gary says, the market decides. If people find value in what you share, you're legit. Period. The chapter ends with a final, undeniable truth. You are the only thing stopping you. Not your boss, not your budget, not your background, just you. But the flip side is even more powerful. You are also the one who can get it done. Once you stop negotiating with your excuses and start betting on yourself, momentum builds, confidence builds, success follows. So what's stopping you? Fear, time, money, age, doubt. It doesn't matter. This chapter is a mirror. Look into it and then break through it. Because once you realize that your biggest obstacle is in your own mind, you're finally free to crush it. Chapter 5. The only thing you need to give yourself to crush it. What if the biggest key to success wasn't some advanced strategy, secret algorithm, or million-dollar investment, but permission? In Chapter 5 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk delivers one of the most surprising and empowering ideas in the entire book. You don't need anyone else's approval to chase your dream. You just need to give yourself permission. Sounds simple, right? But for most people, it's the hardest step. We're taught from childhood to wait for someone to say, go. Teachers give us permission to speak. Parents give us permission to go out. Bosses give us permission to take time off. And somewhere along the way, we start believing we need permission to do anything big with our lives. But Gary's message is clear. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you a perfect opportunity. And no one, absolutely no one, is going to care about your dream more than you. If you're waiting for validation from your spouse, your friends, your audience, or your parents, you might be waiting forever. He shares the story of a 40-year-old man who always wanted to start a fishing YouTube channel, but never did because his wife and friends rolled their eyes every time he brought it up. That's for kids, they'd say. So he didn't try. But one day he decided to post a video anyway, just for himself. That one video led to 10, then 100. A year later, he had over 250,000 subscribers and had signed his first brand deal with a major outdoor retailer. His family didn't believe in it until they saw the paycheck. The truth? Sometimes your loved ones aren't being cruel, they're just scared for you. They want you to stay safe, not fail in front of the world. But safety is the enemy of growth. Gary encourages you to respect their opinions without letting them define you. You're allowed to chase something, even if no one else sees the vision. This chapter also hits on the idea of internal permission versus external permission. Internal permission is what fuels creators, entrepreneurs, and game changers. It's when you tell yourself, I'm going to do this, not because someone said I could, but because I believe I should. Gary compares this to flipping a mental switch. Once it's on, nothing can turn it off. You're not waiting anymore. You're building, testing, failing, learning, doing. He brings up a teenage girl who started a small business, customizing sneakers with hand-painted designs. No one told her to do it. In fact, most people thought it was a waste of time, but she believed in it. And because she gave herself permission to explore her passion, she grew that hobby into a 6-figure e-commerce brand by the time she graduated high school. She wasn't special, she was just brave enough to start. Gary also calls out the hidden danger of perfectionism. Too many people wait for the perfect idea, perfect logo, perfect camera, perfect timing. Spoiler, none of that exists. If you're stuck in perfection, you're really stuck in fear, disguised as planning. Gary's advice? Start messy. Learn publicly. Let your audience watch you grow. The imperfections make you relatable. The journey makes you credible. He shares his own example, how the early episodes of Wine Library TV were awkward, poorly lit, and amateur. But he didn't wait until he had the perfect studio or script. He just hit record. Today, those scrappy videos are a digital treasure chest that helped launch his brand into the stratosphere. Another powerful message in this chapter is about choosing yourself every single day. Permission isn't a one-time thing, it's a habit. Every day you wake up, you choose whether to bet on yourself or back down. And those daily choices, they build your momentum or keep you stuck. Gary also warns against comparing your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 20. When you see someone crushing it online, remember, you're seeing their highlight reel, not their behind-the-scenes struggle. You don't need to match their success. You need to match their mindset, and that mindset starts with self-permission. Toward the end of the chapter, Gary flips the script on fear. What's scarier, he asks, putting yourself out there and maybe failing, or never trying and always wondering what could have been? Regret, he says, is the ultimate poison. Most people don't regret what they did. They regret what they didn't do. That unstarted blog, that unsent tweet, that business idea they buried under bills and busyness. So what does giving yourself permission actually look like? It looks like recording that first podcast episode, even if it's rough. It looks like opening a new Instagram account for your hobby, even if no one follows it. It looks like publishing your thoughts, your art, your story, even when no one claps yet. It's telling yourself, this matters, I matter, and I don't need anyone to say it's okay before I act. The chapter closes with a challenge straight from Gary's heart. What would your life look like if you stopped waiting? Imagine the business you could start, the art you could share, the community you could build, if you just said yes to yourself. And so if you're holding back because you're waiting for the green light, this is it. This is your sign. The only thing you ever needed to crush it was you. Chapter 6. First, do this. All right, let's say you're ready. You've got the mindset. You've crushed the excuses. You've given yourself permission. Now what? Where do you start? In Chapter 6 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk doesn't throw you into a maze of complex tactics. He gives you one clear directive. Start with self-awareness. Not trends, not analytics, not gear. You. Because before you pick your platform, build your content calendar, or launch a brand, you need to understand who you are and how you naturally communicate with the world. Self-awareness, Gary says, is everything. It's the compass that keeps you from wasting years doing the wrong thing in the wrong way. Some people are meant to be in front of the camera. Others shine with their voice. Some are incredible writers. Some thrive behind the scenes, curating and editing. Knowing where your energy flows naturally isn't just helpful, it's foundational. He shares a powerful story about a guy named Brian who wanted to become a motivational speaker. The problem? He wasn't comfortable on video. His message was solid, but his delivery fell flat when he tried to record himself. He felt stiff, unnatural, frustrated. Instead of forcing it, Gary advised him to try podcasting. Boom! The moment Brian shifted to audio, everything changed. His confidence skyrocketed, his downloads grew, and within a year he had landed 3 paid speaking gigs, not from YouTube, but from people who heard his voice and felt connected. Brian didn't change the message. He just found the right medium for his strengths. That's the point of this chapter. Don't try to become someone else's version of a creator. Become the best version of you. Gary breaks down the major platforms and matches them with different personality types. YouTube, ideal for storytellers and teachers who love being on camera. If you're charismatic, expressive, and don't mind editing or filming yourself, this is your playground. Podcasting, perfect for thinkers and talkers who don't love being on video. If your ideas come alive in conversation and you're more comfortable behind a mic than in front of a lens, start here. Instagram, great for visual communicators. Whether it's art, fashion, food, or design, this is the go-to for people who can tell a story through images and short captions. Twitter, best for sharp minds and quick thinkers. If you're witty, insightful, and can pack punch into 280 characters, this is where you can build serious influence. Facebook, excellent for people targeting older demographics or building community-based brands. Long-form posts, live streams, and groups still perform well here. LinkedIn, a goldmine for B2B or career-focused content. If you've got advice, lessons, or industry experience, this is your stage. TikTok, ideal for short-form creative expression. If you can be funny, clever, inspiring, or educational in under 60 seconds, there's massive upside here. Once you find the platform that matches your style, the next step is not to overthink the content. Gary stresses that quantity matters, especially in the beginning. You're not going to find your voice or your audience by posting once a week. You need reps. Just like going to the gym, your creative muscle gets stronger the more you use it. That's why Gary encourages what he calls volume over perfection. He'd rather see you post 3 messy, honest videos a week than 1 perfect video a month. The feedback you get, comments, likes, DMs, is your best teacher. It helps you refine your message, improve your content, and connect with your tribe. And here's a truth bomb. No one is watching in the beginning anyway. That's not a problem, it's a gift. When your audience is small, it's your sandbox. You can experiment without pressure, try new formats, test new ideas, build confidence. Once things blow up, your mistakes are public. But early on, you've got the space to learn in peace. Another key takeaway: don't chase trends blindly. Yes, you should pay attention to what's working, but don't betray your voice to copy someone else's formula. You're not here to be the next Gary V. You're here to be the first you. Let your content reflect your interests, tone, values, and quirks. That's what makes people fall in love with you, not the algorithm hacks. Toward the end of the chapter, Gary introduces the one-person media company concept. Whether you're a teacher, mechanic, chef, or dog groomer, you now have the tools to tell your story, build a following, and monetize it, all from your phone. You don't need a fancy studio or a marketing agency. You just need self-awareness, consistency, and guts. He tells the story of a high school student who loved skateboarding and started posting daily trick videos with tips for beginners. Within a year, he had built a following of 50,000 on TikTok and was earning money through affiliate links and brand deals. His production quality wasn't great, but his energy was real. And that's what made it work. So what should you do first? Get clear on your strengths. Pick your platform, start posting. Don't wait for perfect lighting, expensive equipment, or a viral idea. Just start. Every successful creator you admire started somewhere, and that somewhere looked a lot like where you are now. This chapter isn't about theory, it's about starting smart. Find your lane, own it, and then hit the gas, because once you move from thinking about it to actually doing it, everything starts to change. Chapter 7. Get discovered. So you've picked your platform, you're putting out content, but now you're asking the million-dollar question: how do I get people to actually see it? Chapter 7 of Crushing It is all about the art and science of getting discovered in a sea of content creators. Because let's face it, creating is only half the battle. If you want to win, people need to find you. Gary Vaynerchuk doesn't sugarcoat the truth. Attention is the most valuable currency online. If nobody's seeing your content, then it doesn't matter how good it is. But here's the good news. You don't need to go viral to win. You just need to find your people. And Gary lays out exactly how to do that. He kicks off by crushing the post-it-and-pray approach. Too many creators think that if they just publish great stuff, the audience will magically appear. But the internet doesn't work like that. You have to hustle for attention. You have to earn it. That doesn't mean spamming people. It means engaging, contributing, and showing up where the conversation is already happening. Step 1. Search for your tribe. Whatever your niche, makeup, personal finance, gaming, parenting, cooking, mindfulness, there's already a community out there. Gary suggests finding hashtags, forums, Facebook groups, subreddit threads, or YouTube comments where those people hang out. And then start talking. Reply to comments, share insights, answer questions, not with sales pitches, but with value. Let people get to know your name, your voice, your style. When you show up consistently and authentically, people get curious. They click on your profile, they check out your content, and that's how discovery begins. not with a viral reel, but with real interaction. Gary shares the story of a guy named Marcus who ran a landscaping business. He started giving tips in the comments section of big gardening YouTube channels. No spam, just helpful advice. Within 6 months, hundreds of people had clicked on his name, found his own content, and hired him for consultations. Marcus didn't pay for ads. He just showed up and gave value. Over and over. Next, Gary dives into collaboration, an underrated rocket fuel for growth. When you partner with other creators, you get exposed to new audiences that are already engaged. Even if you're just starting out, you can still offer something. Time, editing help, research, a shout-out. Start small. Maybe it's a podcast guest swap, a shared Instagram live, a stitched TikTok. Every connection expands your reach. He tells the story of a 21-year-old college student who made short videos about productivity hacks. She reached out to a bigger YouTuber with a sincere email offering to transcribe his videos and turn them into quote graphics. For free, he agreed. That connection led to a collaboration video, which drove 40,000 new subscribers to her channel in 1 month. It all started with giving, not asking. Gary's golden rule here is jab, 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 right hook. Give value, give value, give value, then ask. Don't show up in someone's DMs asking for a shout-out. Show up with generosity. Share their work. Recommend them to others. Make their lives easier. It pays off, always. Another big point, content distribution matters as much as creation. Don't just post and walk away. Share your content across platforms in different formats. That Instagram reel, cut it into a square for Facebook. Turn your YouTube tutorial into a blog post. Strip the audio and drop it as a podcast. Send out a tweet storm with the highlights. Gary calls this content remixing, and it's a powerful way to stretch every piece of content into multiple discovery opportunities. Also, don't sleep on engagement loops. End every piece of content with an invitation. Drop a comment. Tag a friend. Share this if it helped. It's not about gaming the algorithm. It's about creating conversation. That conversation drives visibility, and visibility leads to discovery. Now, let's talk about patience again, because even when you're doing all the right things, discovery doesn't happen overnight. Gary reminds us that the first year is often the quietest. The content you're sweating over might only get 100 views, but those 100 people matter. They're your foundation. Treat them like VIPs. Reply to every comment. Thank every follower. Build that loyalty from day one. He shares the story of a woman who started posting raw, unfiltered videos about living with anxiety. For months, she got crickets. Then one video hit 10,000 views, then 50,000. But by then, she had already built a core community of people who felt seen, and those people became her evangelists, sharing her message far and wide. Gary's final reminder? It's not about millions. Too many creators think they need a huge following to be successful. But if you have 1,000 true fans, people who love your work, engage regularly, and would buy what you offer, you can build a thriving brand or business. So how do you get discovered? Go where your audience already is. Show up and serve daily. Collaborate generously. Repurpose your content like a pro. Start conversations, not just broadcasts. And above all, stay consistent. Discovery isn't luck. It's a process, a grind, a strategy. And if you're willing to play the long game, really play it, you'll win. Because in a world overflowing with content, the ones who stand out aren't always the loudest. They're the most relentlessly helpful, real, and consistent. Chapter 8. Musical.ly. It might sound like ancient history now, but back when Gary Vaynerchuk wrote Crushing It, one of the hottest up-and-coming platforms wasn't TikTok, it was Musical.ly. And in Chapter 8, he zooms in on this app. to show how even the strangest sounding platforms can offer massive opportunity if you pay attention early. For those who don't remember, Musical.ly was an app where users, mostly teens, created short lip-sync videos to popular songs. It was goofy, it was raw, it was chaotic, and most adults wrote it off as just another silly kids app. But Gary, he saw gold, because he didn't focus on the content, he focused on the attention, and Musical.ly had a lot of it. Gary explains that every time a new platform explodes with user growth, especially younger users, it's a signal. Attention is shifting, and where attention goes, opportunity follows. The mistake most people make is judging the platform's content rather than understanding its potential. Gary's rule is simple. Don't be romantic about how you make your content. Be strategic about where you post it. He draws parallels to the early days of YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat. Every one of those platforms started out weird. People laughed at them, dismissed them. Then those same people scrambled to catch up when creators on those platforms blew up and turned into full-on brands. With Musical.ly, Gary points out, early creators who leaned in hard, who posted consistently, learned the platform's culture and engaged with its young audience, started building audiences fast. We're talking hundreds of thousands of followers in months. Some of them weren't even lip syncers. They added comedy, tutorials, inspirational messages, or even cooking content. The platform rewarded creativity, not perfection. He tells the story of an 18-year-old who started posting funny skits and dance moves between his shifts at a pizza joint. His friends made fun of him, but he kept going. A year later, he was earning more from brand deals and merchandise than his manager was earning in salary. Not because he was famous, because he paid attention to the underpriced attention before everyone else did. Gary drives home a key principle here. Early adoption leads to disproportionate upside. That means if you're one of the first to master a new platform, while others are still skeptical, you'll grab attention faster and often cheaper than you could anywhere else. You don't have to be the best. You just have to show up before the crowd. And here's something important. Gary isn't saying Musical.ly is the magic bullet. He's using it as a case study. What he really wants you to learn is how to spot opportunity when others are dismissing it. When a new app starts trending with Gen Z or millennials, or you see influencers talking about a new space, ask yourself, what would it look like if I went all in here before everyone else? He compares this to buying real estate in a neighborhood before it gets popular. You get more land for less money, and when everyone else moves in later, your property value skyrockets. That's how early content creators win, not by being the most talented, but by being the first to commit. Another lesson Gary emphasizes, don't chase cool, chase context. If you're a 35-year-old business coach, you might feel out of place on a lip sync app, but maybe your content can be adapted. Maybe you break down money tips using quick audio clips. Maybe you mix inspiration with humor. Every platform has its own style. Learn it, then remix your message to fit. Gary also talks about platform transferability. Many Musical.ly stars, after gaining huge audiences, successfully transitioned to Instagram, YouTube, and even the stage. Why? Because attention is portable. If you build trust and consistency on one platform, your audience will follow you. That's how influencers turn one viral moment into a sustainable career. Of course, Musical.ly eventually evolved into TikTok, and that transition proved Gary right. Again, many of the top TikTok stars in 2020 and beyond were once Musical.ly kids who stayed the course, even when nobody took them seriously. That's the real lesson here. If you want to build something powerful, you've got to be willing to look foolish before it becomes popular. The final takeaway, Don't wait for the masses to tell you it's okay to try something. If a platform is getting real attention, jump in, experiment, play. You might not blow up right away, but you'll be learning, adapting, and growing, while others are still watching from the sidelines. So what does this mean for you today? Maybe musical.ly is long gone, but the principle lives on. Follow attention, not trends, not hype, not comfort, attention. If you can do that, and if you're bold enough to start before it's cool, you won't just crush it. You'll own the game. Chapter 9, Snapchat. If there's one platform that turned communication on its head, it's Snapchat. In Chapter 9 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk takes us deep into the yellow ghost's world, not just to explain what it is, but to show you why it matters, especially if you're serious about building a personal brand. Snapchat started as a way for teens to send disappearing messages. Most adults wrote it off as silly, risky, or just another kid's toy, but Gary saw it for what it really was, a revolution in how people talk, connect, and consume content. And if you're chasing attention, Snapchat had it in spades. At the heart of Gary's argument is this: Snapchat made intimacy scalable. In a world where most social media felt broadcasty, where people posted polished pics and waited for likes, Snapchat felt like a conversation. You weren't just talking to a crowd, you were talking to one person at a time. And that changed everything. Gary starts the chapter by revisiting one of his favorite mantras. Marketing is about where the attention is. And for a certain period, especially around 2014 to 2017, Snapchat had a death grip on youth attention. Teens were spending hours on the app, creating content, sending snaps, watching stories. That kind of focused engagement is a dream for brands, creators, and entrepreneurs. But it wasn't just about eyeballs, it was about trust. When someone opened your Snap, they gave you 100% of their screen. No feed, no distractions, just you. That kind of attention, it's rare and powerful. Gary shares the story of an up-and-coming fitness coach who built her brand exclusively on Snapchat. She posted daily workout snaps, healthy snack tips, and quick motivational bursts. No fancy graphics, just raw, authentic footage. Her audience loved it. Within a year, she had thousands of followers and started converting them into paid clients for one-on-one coaching. Snapchat gave her the intimacy and immediacy no other platform could. Another key point Gary emphasizes: Snapchat stories gave birth to a new kind of storytelling, short, vertical, behind the scenes, and personal. This wasn't about high production value. It was about connection, the messy hair, the quick rants, the just woke up, here's what's on my mind vibe. It made creators feel like friends, not influencers. That authenticity built trust faster than any ad ever could. Gary doesn't shy away from the platform's limitations, though. Snapchat's discoverability was weak. There was no easy way to search for users, no permanent content archive, no easy cross-promotion. And yet, those limitations created urgency. If you didn't catch the snap in time, it was gone. That made people pay attention in the moment, which is something even billion-dollar platforms struggle to achieve. He also talks about Snapchat as a test kitchen. Because content disappeared after 24 hours, it gave creators permission to experiment without fear. You could try out new jokes, messages, styles, see what clicked, and if it didn't work, no big deal. It vanished. For people afraid of failing in public, this was freedom. Gary then dives into a powerful strategy: Snap to Insta funneling. Many creators used Snapchat to build deep relationships and then moved their audience to Instagram or YouTube for more long-form content and offers. The conversion rate was insanely high because by the time someone followed you elsewhere, they already trusted you. But perhaps the biggest lesson of this chapter isn't about Snapchat itself. It's about understanding platform culture. Snapchat wasn't about likes or shares or perfect captions. It was about speed, transparency, and personality. If you tried to treat it like Facebook or Instagram, you'd lose. You had to adapt. And that's Gary's larger point. To crush it on any platform, you must respect how that platform wants to be used. Don't fight it, flow with it. He also makes a bold prediction here, one that ended up true. Snapchat might not stay on top forever, but the format it popularized, short, vertical, personal video, was going to become the dominant language of the internet. Think TikTok, Instagram stories, YouTube shorts, all Snapchat's children. And that's the real takeaway. Don't get married to platforms. Get married to formats and behaviors. Snapchat taught us what the next generation values in content. Realness over polish, speed over scripting, and connection over performance. Whether Snapchat survives or not, those lessons will always matter. The chapter wraps with a final call to action. If you're serious about building your brand, you can't ignore new tools just because they feel unfamiliar or beneath you. Snapchat may have looked like a toy, but it taught a whole generation how to create with speed, connect without filters, and build trust in seconds. So even if Snapchat isn't your platform today, the mindset it demands, fast, personal, unpolished, human, is one that every creator can learn from. Because the platforms will change, but the need for real connection, that's forever. Chapter 10. Twitter. Twitter might not have the flash of TikTok or the filters of Instagram, but don't let that fool you. This is one of the most powerful platforms on the planet. In Chapter 10 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk makes one thing very clear. If you've got ideas, opinions, jokes, or insights, Twitter is your megaphone. And even better, it's the best place to listen before you speak. This chapter isn't just a history lesson on tweets and hashtags. It's a masterclass on how to use Twitter strategically to grow your personal brand, find opportunities, and create real relationships, one tweet at a time. Gary starts by explaining what makes Twitter different. It's the world's conversation hub. It's where journalists, CEOs, creators, politicians, and fans all hang out in one big digital town square. Unlike other platforms where content lives in walled gardens, Twitter is open. That means anyone, literally anyone, can join any conversation. And if your tweet is good enough, it might get seen by thousands or even millions. That's why Gary calls Twitter the greatest listening tool in history. You don't need to guess what your audience cares about. Just search. Use keywords, hashtags, trending topics. Read what people are asking, complaining about, praising, or wondering. Twitter is a goldmine of insight, waiting for someone smart enough to pay attention. He shares a story of a woman who launched a line of eco-friendly skincare products. Instead of starting with paid ads, she used Twitter to search for people tweeting about acne, skincare routines, or sensitive skin. When someone tweeted, "Ugh, I hate how dry my skin gets in winter," she'd reply, not with a sales pitch, but with value. Try layering a hydrating serum before your moisturizer. It works wonders. That kindness earned clicks. Clicks earned followers, and followers became customers. Gary calls this the thank you economy in action. Serve first, sell later. Twitter is the ideal platform for it. You can reply to anyone, help anyone, give anyone attention, and that's rare. Now, let's talk about how to tweet. Gary doesn't believe in over-polishing your posts. In fact, he encourages personality. Be yourself. If you're funny, be funny. If you're direct, be direct. If you're passionate about gardening and budgeting and Star Wars, tweet about all of it. The more human you are, the more relatable you become. But it's not just about being clever, it's about being consistent. Gary says most people tweet once a week and expect miracles. That's like doing one push-up and expecting six-pack abs. If you want Twitter to work for you, you need volume. Tweet daily, join conversations, start your own threads, reply to others, comment on trending topics, Use it like the tool it is. He introduces the idea of micro-content as macro-impact. That means one tweet, a sentence or two, can spark huge attention. It doesn't have to be a full blog post or long video. Sometimes one killer quote, one sharp insight, or one perfectly timed joke can be your breakthrough moment. Gary also talks about Twitter threads, those long connected series of tweets that break down big ideas. These have exploded in popularity because they combine depth with digestibility. Share your story, teach something, give step-by-step breakdowns. If the value is there, people will share it, and that's how discoverability grows. One of the most powerful tools on Twitter, the search bar. Gary encourages creators to treat Twitter like a CRM, customer relationship management system. Search your niche daily, reply to strangers, retweet others with your own take. The goal isn't to be viral, it's to be visible. Over time, these micro-interactions build a macro network. He tells the story of a high school teacher who loved personal finance. She started tweeting bite-sized tips, one per day, on saving money, building credit, and budgeting for students. After 6 months, she had 15,000 followers. By the end of the year, she had launched a course and was earning more online than she did from her full-time job. Her classroom got smaller, but her impact got bigger. Gary makes a sharp point. Twitter is underrated because people underestimate the value of words. But in a world obsessed with visuals, those who master language still hold power. If you can think clearly and write simply, you can influence. Period. This chapter also tackles Twitter etiquette. Don't auto-DM people. Don't spam links. Don't retweet 20 things in a row without context. And for the love of branding, don't try to go viral by being someone you're not. Your long-term value comes from being trustworthy, not trendy. Gary even points out how mistakes on Twitter aren't fatal. If you own them, tweet something that flops, no big deal, try again. Say something controversial and regret it, apologize. Move forward. Twitter moves fast, and that means you can always bounce back if you're honest. So, who should be using Twitter? Writers, thinkers, teachers, and idea people. Brands who want real-time engagement. Entrepreneurs who need fast feedback. And anyone who values conversation over curation. The bottom line of this chapter is simple. Twitter isn't dead. It's just misunderstood. If you treat it like a megaphone, it'll fall flat. But if you treat it like a conversation, a place to give, listen, and build relationships, it will give back more than you can imagine. So grab your handle, start tweeting, talk to people, serve your niche. Because your next client, partner, investor, or lifelong fan might be one tweet away. Chapter 11, YouTube. If there's a Mount Everest of content platforms, YouTube is it. And in Chapter 11 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk makes it clear, if you've got something to say, show, or teach, and you're willing to be patient and consistent, YouTube can change your life. Why? Because it's the second largest search engine in the world, owned by the largest, Google. That means your content doesn't just float in a feed for a few hours and disappear. It lives forever. It builds momentum over time. It gets recommended, searched, and stumbled upon for years. That's the power of evergreen content. And no platform delivers that like YouTube. Gary opens with one core truth. Video builds trust faster than anything else. When people see your face, hear your voice, and watch your expressions, they feel connected. They don't just consume your content, they get to know you. And that's how loyalty is born. That's how brands are built. He shares the story of a woman who loved teaching math tricks. She was camera shy, had no fancy setup, just a whiteboard, her phone, and some markers. But she showed up every week, explained things clearly, and responded to comments. 2 years later, she had over 250,000 subscribers. Today, she runs a full-time online tutoring business and earns more from ad revenue, sponsors, and course sales than she ever made in the classroom. That's what YouTube can do. Gary outlined several reasons YouTube is unmatched. Long form and short form both win. You can post deep dive tutorials, 10-minute rants, or 60-second shorts. Whatever suits your style, you've got space to do it. Searchability. Your content doesn't vanish. If you title, tag, and describe your videos properly, they can rank and be found forever. Monetization. YouTube pays creators directly through ads. Ad sponsorships, affiliate links, merchandise, and courses, and the earning potential multiplies. Credibility. A well-run YouTube channel makes you look like an expert, even if you're just starting. It's a credibility magnet. But Gary is quick to add, YouTube isn't easy, it's a grind. And that's exactly why most people don't win on it. They upload 3 videos, get 47 views, and quit. They compare their beginner content to someone with 10 years of experience. Big mistake. The winners. They post for years before the algorithm smiles at them. He talks about one of his favorite creators, a guy reviewing used tech products. For the first 18 months, he got barely any views, but he kept uploading, kept tweaking thumbnails, kept improving his on-camera presence. One day, one of his videos got picked up by the algorithm, then another. Today, he's pulling in 6 figures a year reviewing gadgets he buys off Craigslist. The key? Consistency over time. Gary also dives into what kind of content works. How-to and tutorials. Teach someone to solve a problem and they'll come back and share it behind the scenes. Let people into your process, your startup journey, your family life, your studio. People crave realness, reaction, and commentary. Share your take on news, trends, books, or viral content. If your opinion is fresh or funny, it'll get attention. Vlogs, yes, they still work if you're a good storyteller. The topic is less important than your ability to make people care. And don't worry about fancy gear. Gary stresses this hard. Your phone is enough. A $1,000 camera won't make boring content better. Focus on your message. Focus on storytelling. Upgrade gear later, if you even need to. He also gets practical. Thumbnails and titles matter. A great video with a boring title is a wasted opportunity. Make titles specific. Make thumbnails eye-catching. Think like a viewer, not a creator. What would you click on? He encourages creators to engage with every comment, especially in the early days. This not only builds community, it tells the algorithm that your content sparks conversation, and that's gold. Gary introduces a smart idea he calls the YouTube snowball. One video brings 10 new viewers. Of those, 2 subscribe. They watch more of your videos, boosting your watch time. The algorithm notices. You get recommended. You make more videos. The cycle continues. Slowly at first, then all at once. He also loves how YouTube connects with other platforms. You can embed videos in your blog, clip them into TikToks and Reels, post snippets on Twitter, promote them in your newsletter. YouTube becomes your content anchor. The long-form home base you build everything else around. A memorable example he shares is of a couple who travel the US in a van. They started with a GoPro and 0 subscribers, but they documented everything: their budget, struggles, campsite tips, even arguments. Their authenticity caught fire. Today, they've built a media brand, sell travel guides, and have millions of subscribers, all because they started before they were ready. The final takeaway is this: YouTube rewards the long game. It's not about chasing trends or quick virality. It's about showing up, being real, improving with each post, and letting time do its work. So if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, stop thinking. Start uploading. You don't need 1 million views to win. You just need a message, a little courage, and a lot of patience. Because on YouTube, if you stick around long enough, your audience will find you. And when they do, everything changes. Chapter 12. Facebook. For many people, Facebook is just a place to share vacation photos, wish distant cousins happy birthday, or scroll through endless memes. But in Chapter 12 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk shows why Facebook is still one of the most powerful tools for building a personal brand and growing a business, especially if you're smart enough to use it differently than the average user. Gary starts by reminding us of a hard truth. Just because a platform feels old doesn't mean it's irrelevant. Facebook might not be the new kid on the block like TikTok or Clubhouse, but it's still home to billions of active users, and many of them are incredibly engaged, especially in niche communities. Translation: there's massive attention up for grabs. He points out that while younger users may have shifted to other platforms, Facebook dominates among millennials, Gen X, and even boomers, and these are the people often making buying decisions, whether that's booking a coach, buying a course, or supporting a brand. If you're offering a product or service, Facebook is where your money-spending audience lives. One of Gary's biggest points in this chapter is the power of Facebook pages. He explains that when built and used strategically, pages can act like mini media companies. You don't just use them to promote yourself. You use them to tell stories, share valuable content, spark conversation, and build community. Gary shares a story of a mom who started a Facebook page about organizing homes on a budget. She began with short videos and photo posts, sharing before and after room makeovers, dollar store hacks, and daily tips. Her page grew from 0 to 100,000 followers in under a year, and with that, she launched her own organizing ebook and sold thousands of copies. She never paid for ads. She just showed up with helpful, consistent content that people loved and shared. Speaking of sharing, Facebook's algorithm still favors content that gets people talking. That's why native video is so important. Uploading directly to Facebook rather than linking from YouTube gives your post a better chance of being seen. Gary stresses that you should always use video when you can, even short clips filmed on your phone. People engage more with faces, voices, and real stories than with just text or links. Another huge advantage of Facebook: groups. Gary believes Facebook groups are one of the most underrated assets for personal branding right now. Unlike pages, which can feel one-sided, groups are collaborative. They allow you to create a tribe, a digital living room where people gather around your niche. He shares the story of a fitness coach who created a private group called Busy Dads Who Lift. He started it just to support a handful of clients, but the group grew organically. People invited friends, shared advice, posted progress pics. Within a year, it had thousands of members. The coach began offering exclusive live sessions, paid programs, and merch, all from a group he built with zero ad spend. Community created the business. Gary urges readers not to underestimate Facebook Live either. Live video builds instant engagement. It's raw, real, and unscripted. Exactly what today's audience loves. Plus, Facebook rewards it in the algorithm. Going live weekly, even for just 10 to 15 minutes, can grow your visibility dramatically. Share a tip, answer a few questions, or just chat. It doesn't need to be perfect, just present. Now, let's talk about Facebook ads. Gary admits they're not as underpriced as they were 5 years ago, but they're still a steal compared to traditional media. The ability to hyper-target by age, location, interests, behaviors, even job titles is like having a marketing superpower. He warns not to waste ad spend promoting your product right away. Instead, run ads promoting your content. Build trust first, then offer something to sell. He tells the story of a local bakery that started running $10 ads promoting short videos of their cake decorating process. No CTA, no sales pitch, just mesmerizing content. The result? Increased foot traffic, brand recognition, and a 35% bump in custom cake orders over the next 3 months. Why? Because people felt connected before they were sold to. Gary also touches on Facebook's Stories feature. While Instagram stories get more hype, Facebook stories are growing, and they face less competition. Post short updates, show behind-the-scenes moments, tease upcoming content. It's a subtle but powerful way to stay top of mind with your followers. Throughout the chapter, Gary keeps coming back to this message. Don't be lazy. Don't just copy-paste the same content from Instagram. Don't treat Facebook like a dumping ground. Respect the context of the platform. Create content that fits the format, whether that's a video, a live session, a community discussion, or a value-packed post. And most of all, use Facebook to create relationships, not just followers. Comment on other pages, reply to DMs, ask questions, celebrate your audience. Facebook is social media, so be social. That's how you win. The chapter closes with a challenge. If you've been ignoring Facebook, thinking it's over, you're probably leaving money, impact, and opportunity on the table. Don't just use Facebook, master it, because for the right brand, especially those focused on connection, community, and long-term relationships, Facebook still crushes. Chapter 13. Instagram. At first glance, Instagram might seem like just a place for selfies, food pics, and vacation shots. But in Chapter 13 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk lays out exactly why Instagram is one of the most powerful personal branding tools available today. Whether you're a fitness coach, a teacher, a photographer, a business owner, or an artist, Instagram gives you the perfect playground to showcase your story, build your audience, and grow your impact. Gary opens the chapter with this core truth. Instagram is a storytelling platform disguised as a photo app. Yes, it's visual. Yes, it's curated. But at its heart, it's about connection. People follow you not just for how you look, but for how you make them feel. And if you're telling a compelling, authentic, and consistent story through your content, they'll stick around, and they'll spread the word. He shares the story of a woman who built a 6-figure business selling handmade pottery, all through Instagram. She didn't run ads. She didn't have a website in the beginning. She simply posted photos of her pieces, time-lapse videos of her process, and heartfelt captions about why she created. Her followers felt like they were a part of her journey. That emotional connection turned into loyalty, which turned into sales. Gary emphasizes that Instagram gives you multiple tools to express your brand, and each has a specific purpose. Feed posts are your portfolio. This is where the best of your brand lives. It's polished, planned, and public-facing. Think of this as your digital storefront. Stories are your behind the scenes. These are raw, real, and temporary. You use them to show your morning routine, packaging products, reacting to news, or just checking in. They humanize you. Live video builds intimacy. You answer questions in real time, respond to comments, and speak directly to your audience. It builds trust faster than any email sequence. Reels are your viral opportunity. Short, engaging, punchy videos can get you discovered by people who don't even follow you yet. Reels let you hook new eyeballs. Highlights let you organize your best stories into categories people can revisit anytime. These become your mini-hubs, FAQs, testimonials, products, or personal moments. But here's the trick. You need to use all of them strategically. Gary makes it clear, don't post just to post. Know your message, know your niche, and know why you're showing up. He offers one of the most practical strategies in the whole book. The 3 E's of content: educate, entertain, and engage. Educate. Teach something. Share a tip, a lesson, a behind-the-scenes technique, or a common mistake in your field. Entertain. Make people laugh, smile, or feel something. Share relatable memes, funny reels, emotional throwbacks. Engage. Start conversations, ask questions, run polls, host Q&As, make people feel like they belong. If you rotate between these three, your content won't just attract followers, it'll build community. Gary stresses another key principle: aesthetics matter, but not as much as value. Yes, pretty pictures get attention, but if your caption is empty, if your content doesn't help or inspire anyone, it won't go far. Don't focus so much on filters and fonts that you forget to actually connect. That said, he still encourages creators to learn basic design. Use apps like Canva or InShot to level up your visuals, and remember, your grid, your 9-square preview, is the first impression people get. Make it count. It should reflect your personality and give a clear sense of what your brand is about. Another gold nugget in this chapter is about hashtags. Gary views them as your SEO for Instagram. You're not using them to be cute, you're using them to be found. He suggests using a mix of high-volume tags, like hashtag fitness or hashtag travel. Medium-tier niche tags, like hashtag plant-based coach or hashtag van life diaries. Branded/custom tags unique to you, like hashtag woke up and worked or hashtag clay by Emma. Engaging with others who use those same hashtags is just as important. Don't wait for them to come to you. Leave comments, reply to stories, build real relationships. It's called social media, so be social. Gary also shares one of his most underrated Instagram growth hacks: DMs. Direct messages aren't just for chatting with friends. They're business tools. Reach out to collaborators, thank new followers, offer advice, share a free resource. If you give more than you take, DMs can open the door to partnerships, clients, even media features. He tells the story of a musician who grew his fan base by personally thanking every single new follower via DM. He didn't just say thanks, he'd ask about their favorite song, share his inspiration, or recommend a playlist. That personal touch created superfans who spread his music like wildfire. Finally, Gary reminds us that Instagram isn't just about marketing, it's about documenting. Share your journey, share your struggle, share your growth. People don't fall in love with perfection, they fall in love with progress. And when you let them walk alongside you, they feel invested in your success. The chapter wraps with a challenge. Look at your Instagram profile right now. If someone landed on it for the first time, would they know what you're about in 10 seconds or less? Would they feel a reason to follow? If not, it's time to rethink your strategy. Because if you use Instagram not just as a gallery, but as a storytelling engine, if you post with purpose, connect with authenticity, and serve with consistency, you won't just grow a following, you'll build a brand. Chapter 14, Podcasts. In a world obsessed with flashy visuals and short attention spans, audio might seem like the underdog, but in Chapter 14 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk flips that idea on its head. He makes a strong case that podcasting is one of the most underrated and powerful tools for personal branding today, especially if you're someone who's better at talking than typing or filming yourself. He starts with a simple premise. Voice is the future. As more people turn to hands-free, on-the-go content while driving, working out, walking the dog, podcasts are becoming a daily habit. That makes them one of the most intimate ways to connect with an audience. Why? Because when someone has your voice in their ears for 15, 30, or 60 minutes at a time, that's deep engagement, and that's what builds trust. Gary emphasizes that you don't need a radio voice, fancy gear, or studio background to start a podcast. What you need is passion, consistency, and something to say. In fact, the less polished you sound, the more relatable you often become. Listeners aren't tuning in for perfection, they're tuning in for perspective. He shares the story of a car mechanic in Texas who started a podcast called Grease Talk, where he gave car maintenance tips, shared repair horror stories, and answered listener questions. His style was rough, his voice was gravelly, and his editing was basically non-existent, but his audience loved him. Why? Because he was real. Within a year, his podcast was bringing in sponsorships from tool companies and car parts retailers, and he'd become a local celebrity in the auto space. The beauty of podcasting, Gary says, is in the low barrier to entry. All you need is a smartphone, a quiet room, and a basic app like Anchor or Riverside. You can literally start your podcast today. No camera, no audience. Just you, your voice, and your value. Another huge win? Podcasting is portable. You can repurpose episodes into YouTube videos with static images, transcribe them into blog posts, chop them into audiograms for Instagram or TikTok, and even turn quotes into tweets. One piece of audio content can feed multiple platforms with very little extra effort. Gary also highlights the networking power of podcasting. When you host a podcast, you have the perfect excuse to reach out to people you admire and say, "Hey, want to be on my show?" That's how relationships start. You're giving value by giving them a platform, and those relationships can turn into collaborations, partnerships, or just real, long-term friendships in your space. He tells the story of a college student who ran a podcast about entrepreneurship. No big audience, no monetization, but he used the podcast as a way to connect with startup founders. By the time he graduated, he'd interviewed over 100 business leaders, built a massive LinkedIn following, and had 3 job offers waiting without sending a single resume. That's the leverage a podcast can give you. Now, what should your podcast be about? Gary keeps it simple. Anything you love talking about that someone else might care about too. Parenting tips, digital marketing, movie breakdowns, fitness for new moms, mental health for college students. If you're passionate and informed and you show up consistently, you'll find your tribe. But here's the warning, you have to be patient. Podcasts grow slowly at first. It might feel like no one's listening, and maybe they're not yet, but you have to keep publishing. Keep improving, keep inviting guests. Most podcasters quit after 7 or 8 episodes. If you make it to episode 50, you're already in the top 10%. If you hit 100, you're elite. Gary introduces the concept of pillar episodes and spin-off content. Record one long-form, 30-minute conversation. From there, you can pull out short quotes, audio clips, tweets, memes, and reels. It's like planting one tree and harvesting dozens of fruits. Podcasting isn't just content, it's content fuel. He also encourages you to build a brand around your podcast. Give it a catchy name, use custom cover art, create social handles, turn it into something recognizable, not just a side project. When you take it seriously, others will too. Monetization, yes, that comes eventually. Through sponsorships, affiliate marketing, selling your own products or services, premium subscriptions, even live events. But Gary is clear. Don't focus on monetizing right away. Focus on building trust, value, and reach. The money always follows the attention. And don't worry about the competition. Yes, there are a lot of podcasts, but there's still plenty of room because most people won't stay consistent. Your only job is to outlast them. Keep showing up, keep learning, and keep loving the process. The chapter wraps with a challenge that echoes the rest of the book. If you've ever said, "I'm not good on video," or "I hate writing," or "I just want to talk," then podcasting might be your perfect path. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't worry about sounding awkward. Just pick a topic, hit record, and start telling your story. Because somewhere out there, someone's waiting to hear your voice. And when they do, everything could change. Chapter 15. Voice First. Imagine a world where people don't tap or type to access information. They just talk. That world isn't in the distant future. It's already here. And in Chapter 15 of Crushing It, Gary Vaynerchuk dives deep into what he calls the next massive shift in content and branding, voice-first platforms. He's talking about voice assistants like Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, Apple's Siri, and more. These technologies are changing the way people search, shop, learn, and consume content. And just like he spotted the early potential in platforms like Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, Gary wants you to know this. The people who master voice early will own the next wave of attention. He kicks off with this question. How many of your friends now talk to their phone instead of typing? Whether it's asking Siri for the weather or telling Alexa to play music, we're moving away from screens and towards spoken interaction. That shift changes everything. Why? Because when people use voice search, they don't scroll through 10 results. They take the first answer. That means whoever ranks at the top owns the conversation. Literally, Gary uses the example of someone saying, Alexa, what's the best essential oil for anxiety? If you've created a flash briefing, a short audio-based update or tip, or optimized your website or podcast to show up for that voice query, you're in. You're not fighting for clicks. You're already in someone's ear. He explains that voice first isn't about fancy tech or complicated setups. It's about being early and intentional. Platforms like Alexa allow creators to upload short audio clips, 1 to 2 minute pieces of content called flash briefings. These can be daily tips, motivational quotes, news updates, mini lessons, whatever fits your brand. He shares the story of a real estate agent who created a flash briefing called 30-Second Home Tips. Every morning he shared a quick tip about curb appeal, negotiating with buyers, or staging rooms. He didn't have a massive audience at first, but because he was the only one doing it in his niche, he owned the voice space in his region. Within a few months, he started getting leads who said, "I heard you on Alexa." That's the magic of being first. Gary also makes the case that voice platforms build deeper trust. There's no visual distraction, no scrolling, just you and the listener, in their kitchen, in their car, during their workout. It's intimate, and in branding, intimacy leads to loyalty. He challenges the myth that only tech experts can leverage voice. He reminds readers that most people thought podcasting was too complex just a few years ago, but now anyone can do it with a phone. Voice-first content is headed the same way. You can record flash briefings or voice content in under 10 minutes using free tools. But he also warns, this window won't stay open forever. Just like early YouTubers or Instagram creators had massive advantages, so will the first wave of voice-native creators. Once the mainstream catches on, the cost of attention will go up and the competition will explode. Gary urges readers to start experimenting now, even if it feels awkward. He recommends creating a daily or weekly flash briefing in your niche, anything from 1-minute fitness tips to daily creative sparks. Recording short Q&A sessions, answering the top questions your audience asks, optimizing your content for voice search. Use natural spoken language in your blog posts, podcast titles, and social content so it aligns with how people talk, not how they type. He also touches on smart speaker sales, which are growing fast. Millions of homes now have an Alexa or Google device. As these become as common as coffee makers, not having a voice presence will be like not having a website in 2005. Gary shares the story of a parenting coach who turned her bedtime story blog into an Alexa flash briefing called Sleepy Time Stories. Every night she uploaded a calming 1-minute story for kids. Within 6 months, she had thousands of nightly listeners and a waiting list for her parenting workshops. She didn't change her message. She just changed her format. That's what Voice First is all about. Repurposing what you know in a new way. Gary closes the chapter with a bold statement. The brands that win in the next decade will be the ones that figure out voice before everyone else does. He compares it to the early days of mobile apps. Some businesses ignored mobile and got left behind. Others adapted early and dominated. Voice is heading in the same direction. If you build your voice presence now, you'll be light years ahead when the rest of the world finally catches up. So whether you're a coach, creator, entrepreneur, teacher, or business owner, start thinking voice first. Get your ideas out of your head and into people's ears. Start small. Stay consistent. Own your niche. Because in the next phase of the internet, people won't be scrolling for you. They'll be saying your name out loud. Conclusion: you've made it through all the platforms, the success stories, the tactics, the mindset shifts, and now, in the final moments of crushing it, Gary Vaynerchuk brings it all together with a powerful truth. There has never been a better time in history to build a personal brand and create a life on your own terms. But the real question is, will you do it? In this conclusion, Gary doesn't offer a recap of everything you've learned. He doesn't spoon-feed you a summary. Instead, he gives you a direct challenge. If you've made it this far, the only thing left is action. This book wasn't meant to entertain you. It was meant to ignite you. He reminds you that building a brand takes work, real, consistent, long-haul work, not just a burst of motivation, not just a few posts here and there. This is a lifestyle, an everyday commitment to sharing your truth, showing up for your community, and constantly evolving as a creator, leader, or entrepreneur. And here's the best part. You don't need to be a genius, a tech wizard, or a celebrity. You just need to start. Everyone Gary featured in this book started where you are. 0 followers, no audience, lots of self-doubt. But they took the leap. They kept going when no one watched. They showed up with heart. And over time, they won. The real difference between the people who crush it and the people who don't. Belief, followed by effort, repeated over time. Gary's message is loud and clear. The internet has leveled the playing field. Whether you're in a big city or a small town, whether you're working full-time or hustling part-time, the tools are in your hands. Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, blogs, Alexa. These aren't just platforms, they're launchpads. He reminds you that there's no right way to do this. You don't have to dance on TikTok or rant on Twitter if that's not your thing. You have to do you, authentically and unapologetically. Find the format that fits. Lean into your strengths. Share your passions. And most importantly, serve your audience. Give them something they can use, something that makes them feel, think, laugh, or act. Gary ends with a final heartfelt push. Don't wait. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait until you know everything. Don't wait for permission. You've got the map. Now you have to move. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about followers or likes or views. It's about freedom. The freedom to live your life your way. To wake up every day doing work that lights you up. To make an impact. To leave a legacy. That's what it means to crush it. So go, create, publish, connect, learn, try, fail, try again. Your time is now. Let's go. And there you have it, the ultimate roadmap for turning your passion into your personal brand, your side hustle into your main hustle, and your content into a career. Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It isn't just a book, it's a wake-up call, a bold reminder that you don't need permission, a fancy degree, or a massive following to build something real. You just need intent, hustle, and the courage to start. Let's quickly recap the key takeaways. Your personal brand is your reputation. Own it, shape it, and share it consistently. Pick a platform that fits your strengths and go all in. Create valuable, authentic content every day. It doesn't need to be perfect, it needs to be real. Engage like a human. Reply, comment, connect. Be social on social media. Play the long game, because real success comes from years of showing up, not moments of going viral. But here's the thing, knowing these principles is just the start. It's what you do next that matters. Maybe today's the day you post your first video, launch your podcast, write your first blog, or DM someone you admire and start a collaboration. Whatever it is, start now. Your brand won't build itself, but it will reward you if you build it with heart. If you found value in this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more tools, stories, and strategies to level up your life and business. And I want to hear from you. What's the one move you're going to make today to start crushing it? Drop a comment or tag me online. I'd love to cheer you on. Remember, the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time, right now. Go get it, and we'll see you in the next episode.